Hello, my dear friends of Maricita Colors in English. Today I have a new advance in knitting. I make a Beanie Hat and I use this stitch that is the brioche stitch, punto inglés en español. I use the needles number 5 millimeters and this yarn that is a little thick. In the etiquette says that I must use needles between 5 until 6 millimeters. I begin here with the rib stitch, punto elástico en español, and after this I change for the brioche stitch. It's very similar to the rib stitch, only that make a little thick over thread. Here one tip: when the yarn of the begin is in the right side, for me this is the front of the work. In the beginning I use the needles 4,5 millimeters, for that is a little tight. And after this, I change for these needles number 5. I don't make increases or decreases. I have the 84 stitches and I make only 84 stitches in every row. So now I will make you a little pattern. Here I have 84 stitches that are even number, so I will use even number here too. I will make 12 stitches. How I calculate the yarn for 12 stitches? I involve the needle, this is the number 6,5 millimeters, and I involve 12 times. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. We let a little, and from here I catch good the yarn, and I let out the yarn of my needle. And from here I will make the 12 stitches. I help me with my fingers. We insert the needle here in this arc, and from the left we go to the yarn of the right, and we have now 2 stitches. Again, now we bring the needle into the front, left, right, and in the needle. In Spanish we say poner los puntos en las agujas. Here in English I think it's cast on. So I will make the 12 stitches. This yarn is a little thick and it's more easy to show you the stitches. We count 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. 12 puntos. So we turn the knitting work and we begin. Here in my thread I begin with the rib stitch, but here I will show you the brooch stitch. We begin. Punto inglés en español. The first stitch is the knit stitch. So we insert into the stitch the yarn, the long yarn, come in the center, the needle of the back of the right back, and we catch the yarn, and this go out. We bring the yarn to the front And this stitch must be the purl stitch, but I don't make the purl stitch. I catch the stitch like the purl, but we don't make the purl, only we pass the stitch from the left to the right. Now I must make one knit stitch, but I don't make the yarn into the back. I let the yarn into the front. This is the trick of this brooch stitch. So I will make the knit stitch, we insert into the stitch, and from here I will make the knit stitch. We bring the yarn and the needle of the right cut the yarn, and this go out. Now yarn into the front like if I will make the purl stitch, but the next stitch we cut like purl, but only we pass. And again one knit stitch with the yarn into the front. Yarn again into the front, we pass the purl stitch and we make one knit stitch. Yarn in the front, one purl stitch and one knit stitch. Look, I must make first the yarn into the front. One purl and one knit. And the last stitch, I bring the yarn and I will make one purl stitch, only the last. We pull a little for that our border is uniform. Now I am in the reverse and we repeat all. This is the good of this stitch. We must repeat the same. From the second row, I always pass the first stitch without make the knit, only we pass. So we catch like knit and we pass. I must make one purl stitch, so we bring the yarn and only we pass the purl stitch to the needle of the right. And ready. Now I find the yarn that I make in the front and here the knit stitch. So I will make one knit stitch and I must catch both. And from here the yarn is in the front and we make one knit stitch. Yarn in the front, we pass the purl stitch and we repeat the knit stitch with these two yarns. Again, one or the yarn in the front and one purl. We find the yarn, these two yarns, like two stitches, and we will make one knit stitch. And that is all the work. One purl and one knit, and the yarn is in the front. Yarn in the front, one purl and one knit. And at the end I find the purl stitch, so yarn in the front and we make the last stitch. We pull and ready. And we must repeat. I will make a little quick for that you can see. The first stitch we pass, yarn in the front, we pass the purl and we find the knit and this yarn and we make the knit stitch. Yarn in the front, 1 purl and 1 knit. Yarn in the front, 1 purl and 1 knit. You need a little concentration, Noor. Only yarn in the front, 1 purl and 1 knit. Yarn in the front, 1 purl and 1 knit. And the last stitch, we bring the yarn and we make the purl stitch. And we pull a little. This is the same that I make in my Beanie Hat. One knit we pass, yarn in front, 1 purl, 1 knit. Yarn in the front, 1 purl and 1 knit. This is a way for that you don't have mistakes. Yarn in the front, 1 purl, 1 stitch. Yarn in the front, 1 purl and 1 knit stitch. So it's very easy and very nice, this stitch. Now appears the lines. I will make only one more, and after this I will show you in my beanie. We pass, we bring the yarn, 1 purl, 1 knit, yarn in the front, 1 purl, 1 knit, yarn in the front, 1 purl, 1 knit, yarn in the front, 1 purl, 1 knit, and ready. The last stitch, only you make the purl stitch. This is all the work in this brioche stitch or punto inglés en español. Here I will show you in my thread. Yarn in the front, 1 purl, we pass only, and here we find the knit stitch and the yarn, and we make the knit stitch. This is all the work. So it's very similar to the rib stitch, only that the purl stitch we don't make. This make that the stitch is a little, or the thread is a little thick, because we make together these two yarns, the knit stitch and this yarn. We make the knit stitch. So soon we will have this pattern of this Beanie Hat. Before I finish this video, I want to invite you to subscribe here in my channel. Maricita Colors in English is totally free. Remember that you must activate the bell for that you receive all my videos. You can find me too in Facebook and Instagram. And if you like this video, you can give 1 like and share it with your family and friends. Thank you very much for watch my videos and comment, and we see us in my next video of crochet or knitting pattern. Muchas gracias y hasta la próxima. Chao, chao.